We're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days. This is the end of the world. This is the end of the world.
Sorry about that. That wasn't a very smart introduction. And I'm sorry if my audio, I know my audio and video is out of sync. For some reason, my computer is incredibly slow and it's driving me nuts. But hopefully, as the show progresses, things will improve. Anyway, let's get the intro out of the way. Hello and welcome to the Last Days live stream, the show that brings welcome levity to the end of the world, lifting the spirits of many of you battling boredom, loneliness, or anxiety by infecting as many as possible with comfort and distraction as the apocalypse unfolds. Please let me know if you can in the comments. I know the video is out of sync. Apologies for that. How is the... Eric Larson is correct. My computer, it must be radioactivity. That's the only explanation. Can I be heard? Is the microphone working? Because it's been a bit hit or miss using this microphone for live streaming in the past. Audio is fine, says Eric. That's good to hear. So welcome to all of you. So lovely to see, 91 of you now waiting across or watching across Facebook and YouTube. As I scroll up, I see lots of comments. And there's even been multiple super chats already, which I really do appreciate. Thanks to Nicole Mort Parker. As always, love these live streams. And great to see everyone here. Yeah, there's loads here. It's brilliant. I'm sure many waiting for today's Last Days quiz. I know, I'm looking forward to today's Last Days quiz. I'm fascinated to see whether Arthur's Knights can increase their already substantial lead, or whether Team O'Donnell will rein them in. Who knows? Thanks also to Gavin Mark for the earlier super chat, and also Annika P. Very kind and generous way of supporting the channel. As many of you know, YouTube hasn't been very kind to me over the past few months with monetization and that kind of thing, so it really does help. Yeah, so we have lots of people tuning in. We have Gavin Mark from Cape Town, which is just fantastic. South Africa is just one of those countries I'd love to go to. In fact, I don't think I've been to Africa at all. I was in Doha on the way to Australia, but that's obviously in the Middle East. So I'd love to go to South Africa at some point, or anywhere in Africa, in fact. Yeah, lots of chat between you all. We had a question about, here we are. Pierre Rambal Cochet says, did you know that you can access Watchtower material again on avoidjw.org? There is also another site, watchtowerwayback.org. Maybe you can recommend it in your videos. Well, everything's kind of fairly fast moving with that situation, I suppose. Obviously, Truth and Transparency are out of the picture. They settled with Watchtower, but Avoid JW is not owned by Truth and Transparency. So whoever is behind that presumably has found another way of putting at least some of the materials back up. I think Arthur already commented that not all of the materials are up yet. So we'll monitor that situation, but I've long recommended Avoid JW, and I will continue to do that. I think it's a very useful resource. Eric says, Arthur has his contingent of knights waiting, ready to topple the O'Donnell team. So it seems. Mad Jock 2112 says, good afternoon, Lloyd. Long time no see, or at least 15 hours. Yeah, we had the premiere last night, didn't we? Or last night for me. Great job last night. Looking forward to today. Thank you. That was, well, all of the convention rebuttals are an epic job to put together. And so whenever I'm finally able to upload one, it's a case of enjoying the stillness and then getting to work on the next one. And I'm currently in a situation where I'm kind of grateful that there aren't videos waiting for me yet, although I'm sure they'll be coming soon. Angry Birdie says, will we learn about another beautiful Bible-based reality show from Naomi? I think Naomi has a kind of work commitments at the moment, which is stopping her from delving into the Bible box. But she knows that she has an open invitation to return to the show whenever her work permits. So hopefully we haven't seen the last of Naomi's Bible box. So lovely to see so many comments. 159 now watching across Facebook and YouTube, which is just splendid. We have the green room steadily filling up, I can tell you. And I can also reveal that today's show will feature at least one newbie who hasn't been on the show before. So I'm very much looking forward to that. She's smiling in the green room. That's brilliant. So I've been reading from Exiting the JW Cult, a Healing Handbook for Current and Former Jehovah's Witnesses by Bonnie Zeman. I have interviewed Bonnie on the channel. This is a very helpful book with advice from a licensed mental health practitioner, just giving advice on coping with the emotions, so to speak, of leaving. We're currently working through a list in chapter 6 of things that might help you with thinking about exiting. So just thinking about exiting. So I'll just continue reading the list. Know that if you are contemplating leaving the JW sect, you must proceed very carefully. Most ex-JWs will tell you it is probably better to become inactive and slowly fade out of the religion than to make a public defection and end up disfellowshipped. It is challenging enough to have to reconstruct your life without having the added burden of being shunned by family and friends, which you will be if you are disfellowshipped. To keep from being ordered to present yourself before a committee of elders and excommunicated, you must be very deliberate and strategic about everything you do, even now. For example, even if it would give you tremendous satisfaction, and even if you feel sure that other JWs would want to know that you've discovered what you've discovered about the organization, you should seriously consider keeping what you are learning to yourself for now, unless absolutely sure you can trust the person to keep your confidence. I would never trust anyone to keep the confidence. Keep your long-term well-being in mind and the well-being of minor children, and protect yourself from being reported to the elders. Ask yourself if it is worth the immediate gratification of exposing the JW sect in your milieu now, if it means you will be shunned by those you love in the future. I know this all sounds a bit strange, but truth be told, every JW is expected to be an informant and report on anyone who seems to be thinking or acting for themselves against the edicts of the governing body. No, I am not paranoid. In fact, there is a truly bizarre example of spying on myself and my family and reporting the information to the elders by a JW whom I thought was my friend in my book Fading Out of the Jehovah's Witness Cult, a memoir. It is wise to be cautious, judicious, and strategic as you take steps to leave this cult. I'm just going to pause there. There's a whole lot in that piece of advice. I would agree with it broadly. I would only say as well that Bonnie correctly says that you'll be shunned if you are disfellowshipped. I would only add that you can sometimes be shunned even if you're not disfellowshipped. Even if you simply stop attending meetings, you become bad association. So you make yourself subject to what I call preemptive shunning in most cases anyway. So that's something to think about. And also the fact that, as seems to have happened in Bonnie's case, elders have a way of hunting you down, as you'll know if you've seen my series Fade Interrupted. So those are also things to bear in mind. Next, following on with the list, know that reading this book can help you, no doubts there. Contemplate the powerful question of contemporary poet Mary Oliver. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? That's from the Summer Day New and Selected Poems, 1992. If you have the chance, do read another of Mary Oliver's poems, Wild Geese. It makes me shiver with its beautiful reminders of our basic human right to be, our basic human right to belong, and our basic human right to love what we love. So quite a bit there. I think I'm going to put my marker there and maybe continue reading the rest of the chapter in the next show. It is such a dilemma deciding whether to fade or whether to disassociate. I know that actually joining today's panel will be someone who has recently disassociated and had that dilemma for herself. And I know among my patrons there's recently been a spate of disassociations. I think it's been a case of, because my patrons now have their own Discord server, it's been a case of them being able to support each other and kind of help each other across the threshold, but it's a deeply personal decision and so much to weigh. I think it all boils down to what your personal circumstances are, and that's not something that can be mapped out in every book or in every piece of advice from a mental health practitioner. It really does boil down to what you feel most comfortable with. You're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? Because fading has its drawbacks, because you have to basically not speak out or not be seen to speak out, and disassociating or severing your ties publicly also has its drawbacks, and that's a kind of no-win scenario that the organization has forced everyone into. Joining me to discuss all this is today's Green Room, and again I'm fascinated to hear from one in particular, Susan Brewer, who recently disassociated, and we also have with us Arthur Weber, and returning to the show, Renato Gonçalves. So welcome to all of you. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
Hey, Lloyd.
Hey, Lloyd. How's it going?
Not bad at all. So,
Renato.
Susan,
Hi, Susan.
can you position yourself so that the Last Days Livestream logo doesn't obscure your features? That's just change the camera angle a little bit.
Move a bit, Susan. Move a bit to the right. Move yourself a bit to the right, or
that's
like this.
better.
Yeah,
That's better.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah,
lovely,
that's perfect.
Susan.
Okay.
Now, Susan, presumably you were listening to some of that. Do you have anything to add about the whole dilemma of fading versus disassociating and what you've had to face in recent weeks?
Well, what you read there, Lloyd, actually is just about precisely what I've been through. I started fading actually right after the Roderick Watkins trial.
Mm.
And then when the pandemic started.
Were you in his congregation, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I knew him really well.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. Then when the pandemic began and we went to Zoom meetings, I had not had unlimited data for internet access before that. And after having acquired such, I had met Mark O'Donnell. Sorry if I digress, but I met Mark O'Donnell at the trial. And he came for a nighttime clandestine visit and told me about your channel. So when I got unlimited data, I started watching your shows, found other JW channels. And when I started learning the truth about the truth, I just could not in any good conscience be associated with this organization.
So it was more like a principled stand that you took in disassociating rather than just continuing to remain in the organization in name only.
Well, as a Bible student, now keep in mind my experience, Lloyd, is different than many. I am, let's say I'm 70 years old, close enough. And I did not become involved with Jehovah's Witnesses until about 7 to 8 years ago. Okay, and I was only baptized in July of 2016. During the 3.5 years as a student, there were many red flags that came up, but I was one of those that there was so much time invested and there was a lot of pressure from other members of the congregation to get baptized. And so I made a foolish decision, not knowing the whole truth about what happens once you actually are baptized. So I ignored those red flags and kept trying to push aside teachings that I could not really agree with. But when the Roderick Watkins thing happened, and I myself, not through Jehovah's Witnesses, but as a child in the early 60s, I'm a victim of child sexual abuse. And when I just couldn't tolerate it, Lloyd. I just couldn't.
Yeah. Well, well done for...
The bridge you built set me free. Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear. And well done for having the bravery to part from such a manipulative and abusive organization. And it's lovely to have you on the show. I'm planning to have you on the channel so we can delve into your story in more detail. Since it kind of directly applies to what I've just been reading, I couldn't not ask you. And welcome back, Renato. You and Susan are both here to bolster the numbers for Arthur's Knights later.
Absolutely. I'm excited for the quiz. It's a little bit of a bittersweet feeling for me to be part of Arthur's Knights, to be honest, but I'm a professional. And I'm going to do my best. It
would be like if I were required to play for Man City.
Yes. You'd be going to the best club in the world, but sure.
But I would hate... Well, no, not really. Yeah, it's just one of those where you're required to play for Arthur's Knights, and you enjoy the competition. That's it. I enjoy playing football, but if I had to play, and if the only way of playing football professionally was to play for Man City, I would obviously do it, but with huge resentment.
Yeah, there's
Can you relate to that?
I want to make that clear. There's no resentment. I'm just saying, Susan knows this, and everyone in the comments know this. I'm a Team O'Donnell fan. That's me. But I'm a professional. I'm just here to get buckets. I'm gonna play for any team, and I'm gonna do my best. So,
you want to put points on the board, basically.
Yeah. Especially since I'm counting them.
So
what?
So actually, we have to get rid of such rumors from southern Louisiana. There were some rumors that Renato here is a mole sent by Team O'Donnell.
Down with this talk. Down with this talk, Arthur. Enough of this conspiracy nonsense. But no,
I want to be on a team with a guy that eats cold pizza.
Oh, don't get Renato started on cold pizza.
I am not saying anything.
The man is obsessed.
I'm not saying anything. I've made my point hundreds of times. It's humankind's greatest creation, and
I'm just saying.
So Renato has actually prepared a video to do his rundown, and I was originally going to ask you, Renato, to do that rundown in person, but I've decided actually the video's too funny to not play it. So when we start the quiz, Arthur's going to play your video. Now, we're still waiting for Team O'Donnell to arrive. We are without the D'Souza's for today's live stream because I understand they are collecting fur babies. So they have...
And those fur babies are so sweet.
Indeed.
And it's a good opportunity to say that this is a animal video.
Well, that's why thank you, Renato. That's why I'm mentioning it, because as everyone knows, the John Cedars channel is predominantly about cats and cute furry things. As indeed is this video.
I need to go find a cat.
Please, if you could actually, Susan, while you're finding a cat, let's get Sing Along with Arthur started.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
G'day mates, and welcome to Sing Along with Arthur. Well, today it will be a song that was contributed by one of our panelists from Down Under. And it's none other than our lawyer friend, Kim Silvio, who in the last show has actually been really pissed on me because I haven't done her lyrics.
She did not. I'm sorry. Just to there's a factually incorrect statement there. There has been no urination. It's physically impossible for that to happen. In fact, so if you could avoid slandering your fellow live stream panelists.
No, she was pissed over me then.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I completely misunderstood you there, Arthur. I do apologize.
Because I didn't consider her lyrics. So, in order to make it even with Sister Silvio, I'm gonna take her song today, and that song is based on a hit by the King of Pop, MJ himself.
Is it about cats?
No.
They keep jumping down.
He's jumped down. Okay.
Here we go.
Maybe What's New Pussycat by Tom Jones?
Or a song by the Pussycat Dolls.
You see, Renato, that's why we bring you on for your razor sharp wit.
Yeah, we can do Sway by Pussycat Dolls in one of the next shows.
If you could also dress as a pussycat doll, that would be nice.
Also, that is the worst Aussie accent I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry.
Thank you for calling us out, Renato. Renato does not miss anything, does he?
He's a professional.
He is. He is a professional. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Art. Go ahead, mate.
Gosh, it's one of those streams.
All right.
The cats won't stay.
Ooh.
So, are we ready to play the song?
I'm not sure I'm ever ready. I'm never ready for this.
All right. Let's hit it, guys.
Oh, God.
There's a cold in our hearts, and we know it's built on love and promises of a world free of sin and error. And if you try hard, you'll find this will come soon, after the last of the last days has all ended. There are ways to get there if you loyally follow the 8 blokes. Don't question them, blindly follow them. Serve the slave, they claim that there's a better place. For you and for me and the entire human race.
What a time to join.
Exactly.
People dying, but it's soon gonna be resurrected. It's for you and for me. The slave proclaims the end is nigh, and Jehovah doesn't lie. His love is strong. Ask for our joyful giving. If we preach door to door,
Keyboard
we'll
by
see
Susan.
like never before.
Where's
We
the
have
air
no
of the car?
fear of dying at Armageddon.
Taking it seriously. I like it when he takes it
Let's
seriously.
rejoice now.
I'm
In the
rejoicing.
faithful slave of Jehovah, in their flock we stay. They know the better way, serve the slave. They claim there's a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, but they're soon gonna be resurrected. When Jah brings about a new world, you'll see.
Very triggering.
And the cup we were baptized in has some deceptive lies. They say this is the only truth, a spiritual paradise. Then why do we keep donating our hard-earned cash to Warwick? If it's plain to see, so undoubtedly it's not God's org. Our dreams fly so high, and millions never die. We preach them and make them our brothers.
But he makes it look so easy.
Pray for a world with no fear, but that body's underneath. See the nations turn their swords into plowshares.
Are there no time limit?
We could really get there if we follow the brothers.
He doesn't like it when I cut him off.
They're an anointed gem, so let's not question them. Heal the slave. They claim they're a better place
He's laughing now.
for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, but they're gonna soon be resurrected. When the just brings about a new world, you'll see. Serve the slave. They claim there's a better place
Sue.
for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, but they're soon gonna be resurrected. When Jah brings about a new world, you'll see. Serve the slave. There's a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying, but they're soon gonna be resurrected. When Jah brings about a new world, you'll see. There are people dying, but they're soon gonna be resurrected. When Jah brings about a new world, you'll see. A new world, you'll see. There are people dying, but they're soon gonna be resurrected. When Jah brings about a new world, you'll see.
Oh, it's still not over.
World, you'll
It's
see.
not
Still
over.
going.
Exactly,
A
Rahul.
new world, you'll
I
see.
don't think it's going to end.
You have that control, Lloyd.
For me.
Unfortunately, we've lost the music, but that was a
Oh,
substantial
that
performance.
Well done, Kim, for the lyrics. That was the best
Gabrielle
used to sing along with art.
and Renato is a professional, so he keeps tabs on that sort of thing.
Tell
Arthur,
it like it is.
Yes.
criticism here from Gabrielle. No air instrument. In fact, I noticed Susan had to kind of help you out a little bit there at one point.
She threw in the air keyboard, right?
What was happening there, Arthur? Were you just not in the mood today?
I wasn't in the mood, but I had my my hands, one on the mouse, the other one on the microphone.
Is that good enough though as an explanation? Do you think? Do you not think you could try
Yes, of
harder?
course. I will try harder next time, probably.
I have a suggestion. So you could record yourself next time doing air instruments, and then do like a split screen.
You could,
So you
yeah.
a pre-recorded segment of you
That's
and air
good.
instruments.
Yeah, that's really very ingenious.
I am worried about putting too much production into this particular segment, if I'm honest. Susan, you know, it's one thing to experience sing along with Arthur on the other side of the YouTube screen, but to actually be involved in it, was this a life-changing experience for you?
I don't think I'll ever be the same after this.
Well, you've put into words very eloquently how many of us feel at the end of each and every sing along with Arthur. Mark,
although having to talk to play air keyboard, that was that was savage pressure, Arthur.
It was pressure, but you handled it masterfully, and anyone would think that you've been playing air keyboard for years. So it was beautiful.
I am a professional. I'm a professional. Yeah.
Excellent. Mark.
Hi, Mark O'Donnell.
Mark and Kimmy are with us. So Team O'Donnell's, without wanting to kind of rub salt in any wounds, you're a bit behind with the last day's quiz. What do you think your chances are today?
I don't know. I just want to say hi to Susan.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
and also Renato. And I started off with Susan because I don't know how many people know the story and how much
we had a little bit of the
yet.
Story before you came on. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, yeah. I didn't hear. Yeah. So it's good to see you, Susan. Very much so. And where is Wang Chang Burrito? Can I ask where is Wang Chang Burrito?
He was on the refrigerator. Then I got up to go get him. I brought him over here. He got kind of like his agent did not really clear the contract for him to be on today.
Okay.
And
I see.
So, so he was really worried about image rights.
It was just less than a year ago, he was just a little kitten and he didn't have this contract, and now he's just big and bad and doesn't want to appear on live streams. I mean, come on.
I know. Well, the evening that you were here and you took the kitty picture of him and sent it to Kimmy, that night we were having coffee and cats.
Yeah.
That evening he became a prima donna, and so it's all your fault.
It went to his head. So I would just. I owe. Circle back.
Sorry, go on, Kimmy.
I just wanted to circle back and say that our chances are probably going to be a little less this week because Susan's going to know all of the recent songs. That's all I got to say.
Well, they're not recent songs; they're the older songs.
Oh, that's right. It's the older songs.
They're from the 84 songbook.
Yeah.
Hey, I have my cheater. I can cheat.
Oh, that's cheating. No, none of that. None of that. Yeah, you see. By the way, speaking of Arthur, Arthur, I owe you the princely sum of €2. This has come in response to your moving performance. So thank you very much, Chief 89. And thank you also to Rianne for your super chat. Very kind indeed. And yes, I'm fascinated to see what happens with today's last day's quiz. I suppose Eric Larson says Susan fits in with Arthur's night so well. Well, we will see how well Susan will fit in with Arthur's nights, because now it's time for the last day's quiz.
As one brother put it, stay alive to 75.
Welcome to the last day's quiz, the ultimate battle of minds, as two teams of today's panelists face off against each other to prove their knowledge of this show and Jehovah's Witness Doomsday Dogma. As you'll probably have already established, there are 2 teams lined up for today's show. We have Arthur's Knights facing off against Team O'Donnell. I know what you're all thinking. We need a recap. We need to know where we're up to in this epic battle of wits.
I wonder who could give us that.
Yeah, I wonder who.
You may ask that question, Mark, and I'm here with your answer.
Let's roll the clip.
Hello. Welcome to the last day's quiz, number 8. Before today's panelists split into teams to engage in a war of intellect, a battle for supremacy.
It is a war of intellect.
With the most knowledge of completely outrageous Watchtower material, I would like to update you on all the numbers, records, and relevant statistics from the previous 7 editions of the last day's quiz.
Thank you.
After Saturday's 26-16 victory, which came down to the very last question, the dynasty continues, and Arthur's Knights now have 5 wins in the last day's quiz.
5 wins.
In second place is still Team O'Donnell with 2 wins. And
We only play
the
on
reason
Saturdays,
Team
though.
O'Donnell is still second, even though lately they haven't been very good at this, is because Team Disassociate, when they do it alone, are terrible at this.
They are bad, it must be said.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sherry and Sasha, but
It
you
must be
can't
said.
win just by getting the songs right. There's
Yeah.
like 3 other rounds. So
He tells it
you
like
gotta
it
be
is.
good in those rounds too. Now, the record for most points still belongs to Arthur's Knights, thanks
Because
to
of
their
cheating.
35-point explosion in last day's quiz number 6. And I checked the tape. I watched the video like 3 times just to be sure. He didn't cheat.
Well,
Okay.
he's a
I
professional,
know.
so
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
Now, the "Oh my God, this guy needs help" award from last day's quiz number 7 goes to Lloyd Evans,
Oh, that's hardly fair.
for both teams in the first round. No one could figure out which quote was fake, and everybody got the questions wrong.
Mhm.
I take
We
your
know
point.
that.
Be proud of Lloyd. That just means you're a Watchtower writer, and that's
That's a fair
terrifying
point.
thing to think about.
Yeah.
And Sasha, I haven't forgotten about you. Once again, you knew the lyrics to all the songs of Doom, even your opponents. And I'm this close to Googling psychiatrist in Sydney. I'm worried
Ouch.
about this.
Don't worry, he got some new cats, so.
I knew this one. Yeah, even though you do, and we know you do, at least we're not going to be so worried about you. So just something to think about. So that's all you need to know ahead of last day's quiz number 8. Good luck to both teams and to all contestants. I have one question for you. Is that your final answer?
You see, now he's just stealing my catchphrase. That's just plagiarism.
I'm sorry.
Well,
But
so
you
you
remember,
know,
it's not fair. Mark and I we only play on Saturday, so when you say
Well,
Arthur
you
has
say
5
that, Kim.
wins,
It's now
you
just
have twice as much time to win.
Kimmy. It's now a Saturday's only show. The
Oh,
last day's
okay,
quiz.
Yeah,
So that's
right.
no longer a
I
defense.
forgot. Okay.
But here's something else. I did not mention this in that video because I only found that out yesterday when I was rewatching everything.
As you do as part of your professional work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Rewatching things is part of my job. So,
Yeah.
Arthur's Knights and Team O'Donnell have faced each other 5 times,
Have we?
and Arthur's Knights have 3 wins to 2. So
Okay.
you're still losing anyway.
Yeah.
Even the ones you're not in,
Yeah.
when you face Arthur's Knights, you just lose. It's unfortunate. So
yeah.
I think
But
we're the real
I'll
winners
accept
here because
that.
we have forgotten a lot of the material.
But Renato was saying before that he is actually a fan of Team O'Donnell, even though he's being required to play on Arthur's Knights today.
we
So,
pay him money, that's why.
oi,
We're his-
supposed to say
keep that
that,
quiet.
we're his only
Keep that
Patreon.
quiet.
Also, look, I have a bone to pick with you, Lloyd. You're claiming in the honor of the deceased Regis Philbin, you're claiming that this is your catchphrase.
Is that your final answer?
Is that your final answer? I mean, come on, Lloyd.
I'm surprised you
Come
didn't
on.
get more comments on that.
Where's the honor to poor deceased Regis?
Agreed. It is.
Yeah.
It's okay, borrowed. It's a borrowed catchphrase. I'll give you that.
That's better.
In any case, it's time to launch into the quiz, and we need to begin, as always, with a coin toss. So, who wants to be today's tosser?
But before tossing the coin, I would also like to add a comment here, because even Regis Philbin, God rest his soul, borrowed this term from Chris Tarrant, who was the original host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you for the much needed correction.
Is that
the British?
answer?
Was that the British or who did
The
that
British.
first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the British invented it, so we get to take it back whenever we want. So
Yeah.
anyway,
The good shows always started first as
Bloody
British, and
imperialist.
Americans remade them, like The Office
can we please have a tosser?
I don't have a dog in this fight. I can tell you that.
All right, who's calling this?
So glad I don't have a dog in this fight.
Well, I think it's Arthur's turn to choose heads or tails.
Okay.
Because this show is
He dropped
about because this show is actually a furry frenzy. I will
Did it
choose
again.
He
tails.
dropped it twice.
He
I think
chooses
I've
tails.
completely lost it.
Okay.
Okay.
And it is- what is it,
What
Mark?
was it?
Tails.
Tails. Okay, so Arthur goes first.
There you go.
Okay, so just a reminder to all contestants, please avoid any consultation of the live chat or Google or anything like that. Let's keep this as honourable as possible. We launch into the first round. My favourite, They Wouldn't Write That. It's your job to say which one of the following three quotes wasn't written by Watchtower but was in fact written by me. And by the way, I have again selected two publications from my collection that were published before the Watchtower Library publications. And for the first round of questions, we are consulting this publication, After Armageddon, God's New World, which was published in 1953.
Yankee Stadium.
Okay. So, which of the following quotes is not in this book? Bear with me one moment. Okay. Ravens have been observed to make light work of a carcass, reducing it to dry bones in mere minutes. How they will flock with frenzied excitement when the remains of God's foes fill the earth from one end clear to the other.
Ouch.
That's quote number one. Quote number two. No, it will not be a revolution of this old world, but an obliteration of it down to its very roots, with not a branch or a fruit of it surviving. What mankind needs is a completely new world, and that world can only be God's promised new world. That's quote number two. And quote number three. Lump all those battle accounts together, including those at ancient Megiddo, and know that God Almighty will have at his disposal appalling forces of destruction to unleash against his puny foes of flesh and blood. So which of those three quotes have I made up?
So, Arthur, in the 50s, did they use the expression lump things together? Because that jumped out at me immediately.
Yeah, in the 50s they would use lump together.
Okay.
And
Quote number one was definitely a genuine quote.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm leaning number two.
It's too complicated for Lloyd to come up with all that for such a complex quote like that, because
Are you cutting the hand
like
of
a
Lloyd
challenge
short?
for next week.
has been very busy with filming the rebuttal, and and definitely he couldn't have put so much effort into writing complicated statements.
Yeah, but that's when he gets us. When you think it's too complicated for him to come up, that means he came up with it. So I'm going number one. I'm voting one.
I'm voting two.
okay. Well, I have an issue with number one because it mentions ravens, and we don't have ravens in the United States. We have crows.
Nice. That's why we need Susan, an American.
Awesome.
And because it was written by an American, oh gosh, I was going with, I'm going to go with 2. No, I'm going with 1. We're going with what we want to say what Lloyd did right. Is that correct?
Yeah, what Lloyd did right.
You think he wrote 1?
But indeed, ravens were omnipresent in the Near East.
Final answer number 1, Lloyd.
I think it's 1.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, unless it's wrong, then it's the other.
Hey, that's Mark's phrase. That's Mark.
Sorry, I'm stealing everything.
In Family Feud, there is a possibility for the team captain to change the mind of the whole team. I go final answer number 2.
Are you going to override us?
Can I just establish what your final answer is, team Arthur's
2.
Knights? Number 2.
Yeah.
Arthur's Knights, your answer is incorrect. It was number 1.
Oh. You are not going to live that down.
At least you know Arthur's not cheating now.
Check the guns.
Yeah, go Susan.
Listen to the woman, Arthur.
I thought majority rule.
You almost had me there, Arthur's Knights.
Such a dictator, Arthur.
Yes,
Okay.
he's been relegated to Arthur's pawns now.
I know it's Renato's
won't
night
see
now.
my song either, so whatever.
Wow.
Team O'Donnell don't have too long to rub their hands over
I'm actually
Arthur's.
happy that we got it wrong because I want Team O'Donnell to win.
Oh, you see. Team O'Donnell doesn't have that long to relish this mishap by Arthur because they need to now answer a similar question or a question of similar hardness. And this is taken from, we're going even further back in Watchtower history.
Deeper and deeper.
To the Rutherford booklet, Universal War Near.
Look at that bloody sword.
So this was published. Yeah, Universal War Near. This was published in 1935.
That's right around the corner.
So
that was back when Armageddon was just near and not soon.
2 of the quotes that I'm going to read you are from that booklet, but one of them is a forgery. You need to decide which one is a forgery. Quote number 1. The cleansed earth will burst forth with verdant foliage, yielding no end of fine produce. Freed from bondage to the devil's rule, earthly subjects of God's kingdom will never again hunger for nourishment, their bellies filled with pineapples and pomegranates. Quote number 2. When the final battle is fought for the vindication of Jehovah's name, which battle will be led by Christ Jesus, the shaking of the entire earth and heaven will occur. The purpose of the shaking is not to terrify the remnant, but to strike terror into the invading army of the enemy, and to make known to all creation the name and fame of Jehovah God. That's quote number 2. Quote number 3. The time has come where there is no middle ground to take. Every person on the earth will, within a very short time, be on the side of the devil and his organization, or on the side of God and his kingdom. So which of those 3 quotes is fake?
Okay, so the first one was cleansed earth something or other. The second one was about a battle and shaking, and that was a really, really long one. Seems like that could be authentic. And then the third one, I think, maybe Lloyd. My gut reaction
is Lloyd, because I think the first one is real, because I think they would use way back then pineapples and pomegranates. Who else would say that? Even Lloyd wouldn't think of that, I don't think.
I don't know. He might. He's gotten us before.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Yeah, you're right. Arthur's still recovering from his loss. We'll go 3.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
Unless it's incorrect, in which case we reserve the right to change that answer to the correct answer.
Mark O'Donnell, your insubordination is noted.
I would have also gone with 3.
Thank you, Arthur.
Your answer is incorrect. It was number 1. So I've gotten you both again.
Pineapple and pomegranates.
Yes.
Wow.
You see, I told you not to underestimate. He's gone crazy with this.
Okay, so here was my strategy going into this. I thought I'm going to make them as crazy as possible. Let's have ravens and carcasses, and let's have just random fruit. I'm just going to put random fruit in.
It's so weird. I was like, it has to be authentic.
Exactly. So I just thought I'm just going to go as.
It's not possible that you can't out crazy. You can't out crazy CCJW.
But I just did.
But he did.
Or didn't I? Anyway,
Once again,
it worked.
Lloyd Evans is awarded 5
Although,
points.
Again, Lloyd,
So
again,
we'll ask our
something to be
referee.
proud of. Not something to be proud of at all.
Okay.
We'll
I'm-
ask our referee, brother Gonsalves, to mark.
I'm enjoying it.
Hold on.
I'm enjoying it.
5
I'm
points for
counting that
Lloyd.
as a victory. So we move on to the next round, which is Songs of Doom.
Ah,
3 questions each, 2 points for each answered correctly. You have to finish the lyric. We begin, don't we, with Arthur's Knights. And I'm going to take us off full screen so that we can monitor the eyes and just make sure there's no shiftiness going on, no checking the live chat, no checking Google. You're just going into your souls and finding lyrics that have lodged themselves there without your wanting them to be there. Okay.
yeah.
So, complete the lyric, Arthur's Knights. We thank you that we have the privilege of prayer.
Can you sing it?
Oh, he can.
We thank you that we have the privilege of prayer.
Oh, this was an old one.
Yeah, it's from the
Oh.
previous songbook.
You can't cheat.
Ah. Arthur, I'm sorry, I'm stumped. I'm
Eyes
not
on the
good with
webcam.
The old ones.
I know it in Portuguese. That's terrible.
Do you want to defer to Team O'Donnell?
Do you know it, Mark?
Oh boy, it's your call,
Well,
Arthur. You're the knight. You're in charge.
Renato, sing it in Portuguese.
I'm afraid I'm
Renato?
going to have to defer it to Team O'Donnell since it looks like none of you know the lyric. Team O'Donnell, this one's up for grabs.
The shame.
Well, the song is "We Are Jehovah's." We are Jehovah's.
Something about his tender care, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think which verse that is. You know, it's we thank you, Jehovah.
If none of you know it, I'm going to just...
Each day and each night. And I'm sorry, what was the line again, Lloyd? One more time. It's
All right, one more time.
Yeah. Okay.
We thank you that we have the privilege of prayer.
I can't remember the exact words.
Sasha would know this.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay, we'll just move on.
We're struggling without Sasha, but basically you've blanked on that one, teams, but that the remaining lyric is that we can approach you with every care.
Oh, yeah, every care.
Oh,
But at least we've established that neither team is cheating, which is wonderful. So we now move to Team O'Donnell for their question. Complete the lyric. God is love and therefore bids us.
God is love and therefore bids us.
Persecute. No, that's a different
No.
line. Yeah, that was.
Mark, you messed it up. See, when you do that, then I had it and
Yeah.
it's gone now.
And therefore bids us. Too many lines to remember.
I think he
each
does it
day.
again, Lloyd. You gotta stop it.
At least I don't have to sing it because you've already sung it.
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
God
had those on the tip
God
of
is
my
love,
tongue.
and therefore
bids us.
the other line is persecution to endure, right? So it's a parallel line to that.
Oh well.
Okay, I'm going to switch it over to Arthur's Knights.
For the steel.
I actually had those lyrics in my head, and Mark made up words.
It's now with Arthur's Knights. Can you repeat that, Arthur?
Walk in love, excelling way.
Correct.
Love. Yep.
Oh, that's the song
I am
title.
so happy I cannot remember the
Love's
Arthur's Knights
excelling
have
way.
scooped
Yeah.
2 points
I
there.
had that in my head, Mark, and then when you sang like the made up words, it was gone.
So we go back to Arthur's Knights for their second question of this round. Complete the lyric. But as for me, determined I shall be.
Oh. To serve Jehovah eternally.
I can't give you that, unfortunately. It's close, but that's not the lyric.
Can you sing it?
To walk
Can you sing it,
eternally in my integrity.
Correct. You've
Yes.
got 2 points there.
I used to love singing that.
No, man.
We move back to Team O'Donnell for their second question. Complete the lyric. Fear not those who kill the body, but cannot destroy the soul.
Are you gonna sing it for us, Lloyd?
Fear not those who kill the body,
Boom, boom.
but cannot destroy the soul.
Something to continue. Something reach your goal. Remember, Mark?
You're very close.
But cannot destroy the soul, but be in fear of. No.
I think Mark's trying to sabotage it for his own team.
He does. He makes it. It's like,
Well, it's one of
half
the
the lyric,
three
and you're
verses.
singing that part.
What is it? Fear not those who kill the
Fear not,
body, but cannot destroy the soul.
And continue. I will help you reach your goal.
Correct. You've got 2 points.
There you go.
Faithful to the end, continue. I will
Faithful to
help
the
you
end.
reach your goal. Okay,
Good job,
so
Kimmy.
When
back
Mark starts
to
throwing in fake words, you know, it's like, oh,
back to Arthur's Knights. Complete the lyric. Let the heavens rejoice, let the earth joyful be.
Can you sing it?
Let the heavens rejoice, let the earth joyful be.
Oh,
Something.
I'm trying to translate it in my head.
For
think you got it.
Jehovah has become king. Something.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that. For Jehovah God
I
has
never
become
liked
the
any of
king.
these songs that sound.
You've
I
got the
never
2
liked any of these
points.
songs that sounded like marching bands. That
No,
one
you've-
sounds like a
you've-
marching band.
But Susan, you've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got it. So we move on to Team O'Donnell for the final question of this round. Both teams poised on 4 points for this round, and Team O'Donnell with an opportunity to steal a 2-point lead if they can answer this question correctly. Loyal submission in recognition, this to our God we owe.
God, we owe.
Tender compassion. No, that's one of the lines.
Would you sing it for us, Lloyd?
Loyal submission in recognition, this to our God we owe.
He gives protection,
Tender affection. Loyalty to God we show.
Correct. He gives protection, tender affection, loyalty to him we show. That's 2 points. So
To him.
Team O'Donnell, at the end of the second round, Renato will be pleased to hear, are on 6 points to Arthur's Knights 4 points.
I'm so conflicted.
Sabotaging his team. He's texting us the answers. No, I'm just kidding.
So we move on to
Arthur,
the
will
third
you
round.
play this team again?
This
much
will
pressure.
test your knowledge of this show. Because what's the point of doing the last day's live stream if no one's watching? Who said, and this is for Arthur's Knights, this is for 2 points. This is closer to home now.
This is closer to home now.
Yeah.
So it was
Sasha. Right?
Yeah. I'm thinking Sasha. Yeah.
Sasha, final
Yeah,
answer.
I was going to say Sasha.
Your answer is incorrect. It was actually me.
Ooh.
Whoa.
So we move on to Team O'Donnell. Team O'Donnell with another opportunity to extend their lead.
I'm sorry, you said this is from last Saturday's program?
No, this is from Wednesday's show.
So we're back to guessing again, even though you advertised.
Well, you wouldn't
this as
have
being
to
a
guess,
once-a-week
Mark.
show.
You wouldn't have to guess if you watched the last day's live stream, which currently, it must be said, is being done by 186 people. So it can't be that hard. Anyway.
Yeah.
At 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, it is.
3:30.
But you can watch it afterwards as well.
You can. Thank you, Arthur.
Who
So
has
anyway,
time for
That's
that?
right.
who said, and I quote, he might get arrested for that?
Okay, Kimmy, let the guessing begin.
I
Who
will
was
say
on-
since Sasha was wrong last time, let's just go with Sasha again this time. We just keep guessing Sasha until it's right.
Are we saying Sasha was on the program?
Yeah, clearly he was on the program.
And what? And what was
not
the line?
overthinking
He
it,
might.
Mark,
He
you're-
might get arrested for that.
He might get arrested for that, yeah.
Oh, I know who it is.
Can you say it in an Australian accent?
I can say something else in an Australian accent, but it's
We're
not
just
suitable for
guessing.
YouTube.
Whoa.
Right, mate.
I'm sure you're wrong. Let's just go Sasha.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay.
It makes no sense to
Your final
overthink
answer.
it.
Your final answer is incorrect.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was Kim.
Kim, when Arthur wasn't wearing the mask correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank
You
you.
won.
See, it's not that hard. Renato is even on a similar time zone to you guys. Okay, so back to Arthur's Knights. Who said the following? Far from it being easier to slip between the clips, far from it being easier to slip between the cracks, it might actually be harder.
Is that Sasha?
Oh.
Or Lloyd. But yeah,
Sounds like
It
Sasha.
could be trust, like,
Sounds like Sasha to me.
because
Yeah.
usually Lloyd picks someone different, but I'm going to go with Sasha.
Right, we're just
Okay,
we're
we
all
go with
guessing
Sasha.
Sasha until Sasha's right.
Arthur's Knights, is that your
Sasha.
final answer?
yeah, final
Yeah.
answer, Sasha.
Your answer is correct. Which brings you level on points with Team
Awesome.
O'Donnell, but Team O'Donnell still have a chance to get ahead of the final decisive round, Apocalypse Delayed.
We don't even know who was on the show Wednesday. This is
The information is freely available on YouTube.
On the John
It's not.
Cedars
It's
channel.
not worth it. It's not worth it for 2 points or whatever.
If you see, this is the mentality. What's the difference in wins again, Renato? Can you just give us an update on that, please?
It's 5-2 for
Yeah.
Arthur's Knights, and in the head-to-head between Arthur's Knights and Team O'Donnell is 3-2 to Arthur's Knights.
In your professional opinion, Renato, do you think the indifference of the O'Donnells to a round such as this round might be costing them points?
Absolutely.
Oh, we've heard it. We've heard it from a professional.
You have to train for your contest. For any sport, you have to train.
You're right,
Part of
Renato.
the training for this is watching the previous show.
So now that
Exactly.
Wednesday will no longer be, there won't be a game on Wednesdays, right? So we'll be leveled up.
I like having Renato on the last day's quiz. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say it.
I would just like to
Okay.
start adding phone a friend.
So we move to the final question of this round, a round that the O'Donnells object to, apparently. Who said the following? It happened very quickly, and actually, I'm all clear now.
I don't know. Go with Arthur, because I'm not sure who else was on the show.
I was very briefly on the show, actually.
Did you sing?
I was very briefly on the show, so you should.
He's helping us.
You should count.
Right. Helping him, Arthur.
Yeah, but he could just be throwing us for a loop and trying to make us choose the wrong answer. See?
Sounds like, well, we haven't used Lloyd yet, right?
But Lloyd already was in one. We didn't use it. What was the quote again?
The quote again, and I would just ask, I'm trying to be as impartial as possible, but please ignore the psychological games being played upon you by the opposing team captain, who said, it happened very quickly, and actually, I'm all clear now.
All right, so you want to go with Arthur?
Yeah, we go with Arthur.
He's playing psychological tricks on us, and Lloyd warned us about him. So they deserve a penalty. They deserve a penalty for that, and so we will say Arthur.
Thank you. You're correct. I wouldn't normally interject in that way, but I do think it was a little bit underhanded when you were on the right track.
Well, I can see the little smirk on Arthur's face anyway, so I already knew that was.
So Arthur's Knights, please consider that as a penalty. Any further behaviour of that nature will be even more severely punished.
Wait, shouldn't Arthur be given a timeout, have to skip a question or something?
So entering
the show a few minutes.
Entering the final round, and despite underhanded play from Arthur's Knights and Team O'Donnell, demeaning the entire nature of the quiz. Team O'Donnell is on 8 points to Arthur's Knights 6 points, but it's still all to play for because Apocalypse Delayed frankly cares not what your points tally is. It can turn everything on its head because it's 2 questions, each of which are worth 10 big fat points. We start with Arthur's Knights. You have to give me the correct year out of 3 possible years as to when this quote was printed. Okay. That means that Armageddon is so near at hand it will strike the generation now living. Was that printed in 1953, 1972, or 1991?
Generation now living.
The quote reads, that means that Armageddon is so near at hand that it will strike the generation now living. Was it 1953, 1972, or 1991?
Arthur and Renato, I want to go with the 72. That sounds like that 75 thing, stay alive to 75.
Yeah.
My input would be 72.
But that could be a trick. Like he puts a date so close to 75 that you would have to go with that. So
and as been discussed in the past, these quotes could be at any time in the last 100 and some odd years. So
yeah, I joke in the comments like 800 BCE. That's when the quote was. I
think Buffalo Welch said it in 10,000 BC. I want to go with 72, but I'll go with whatever you guys say.
No, I would rather go with something 50, with 53.
Is that what the live chat's telling you?
No.
I'm just joking.
Arthur, are you cheating?
No, I'm not.
Are you seeing the mental games from Tim O'Donnell, Lloyd?
I'm going to press Arthur's Knights for a final answer.
1953.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Lloyd does like the 50s.
Yeah, final answer.
Arthur's Knights, your answer is correct. It was 1953.
I like how
Oh,
you're
Arthur, thank you.
10
You saved
points.
us.
It was
like how you
actually
looked at it,
printed in this publication.
What is it?
So I've used the same publication that I used for the first round. It was
Awesome.
printed in After Armageddon, God's New World.
Great.
That means that Armageddon is so near at hand, it will strike the generation now living. So judge for yourselves, viewers, whether that came true or not.
Are we in the new world or is this hell?
No, that was Sing Along with Arthur. So we move on to Team
I
O'Donnell.
was waiting for that.
We move on to Team O'Donnell. You need to tell me in what year the following quote was printed. These very events now coming to pass supply further evidence of the fulfillment of prophecy pertaining to the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ, the nearness of the final end of this evil world, and the requirements now laid upon the true servants of the kingdom of heaven.
That's not a 1940s quote.
Was it printed in 1940, 1950, or 1960?
I'm going 1940, Mark.
All right. Read part of that again.
Oh my God.
We'll make a quick answer.
Well, it is
because
10
we don't
points.
have a wide range with a recent and this is
That's
40s,
okay,
50s,
go ahead.
60s, so-
I know.
It
So let's
is. It is 10 points up for grabs. So I do understand your need for
It's so important.
deliberation. These very events now coming to pass supply further evidence of the fulfillment of prophecy pertaining to the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ, the nearness of the final end of this evil world, and the requirements now laid upon the true servants of the kingdom of heaven. Was that printed in 1940, 1950, or 1960?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely lean towards the older of the two, 40 or 50. I mean, it could be 50. Sort of a toss-up. What do you think? You think 40?
Yeah, before he said the years, it had a 1940 kind of flair with the language, but
okay. So it does have some of this language you definitely wouldn't hear in the 70s and 80s. So we're gonna say 1940.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Arthur, that's my line. If you any more lip from you, Sunshine,
Negative.
you'll find yourself with points being docked.
Do it.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
We reserve the right to change our answer if in the event the answer is wrong.
That's a
Insubordination duly noted. Your answer is incorrect. It was actually 1950.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
Well, we were half correct because I knew it was 40 or 50 and we threw out 60. So we should get
August 1st
4 points
Watchtower on page 227.
Well, we know how Lloyd loves using stuff from the 50s.
So if we get this, we win.
Does.
there's two questions, right?
As we go into the final question, Renato, trying to be as professional and unbiased as possible, can you just let us know where we're up to in this show and what's at stake?
So after 3.5 rounds, Arthur's Knights have 16 points to Team O'Donnell's 8. And if Arthur's Knights get this answer correct, they win the last day's quiz number 8.
If they don't win,
Team O'Donnell have a chance to win.
Okay.
If they get the last question correct.
Okay. You see, it's useful having Renato here. I don't know. It feels good. It feels like part of the furniture.
I'm available.
Yeah,
he's
a professional.
He is a professional. Thank
maybe
you, Arthur.
Renato's like a whiteboard with one of those graphs, that shows the elimination rounds.
I mean, I'm not going to lie.
overlapping
It chafes a little for him to be wearing a City shirt, but I just like him. Something about him.
The City shirt's not on purpose. It's literally the first thing I grabbed out of the closet.
Of course. That's okay.
I didn't do it to annoy you.
I know. I know. Calm down. Arthur's Knights, calm down. Swords back in the hilt. You need to
You called me
apply.
a furniture. How can I not be angry?
It's a compliment.
You did call it
You
a
need
piece of furniture.
you need to apply every ounce of your intellect to the next question, because if you answer it correctly, you win today's last day's quiz.
Great.
In what year was the following quote printed? The Bible tells of these hard times that we are experiencing as a sign of the nearness of the end of this system. So the Bible tells of these hard times that we are experiencing as a sign of the nearness of the end of this system. Was that printed in 1953, 1963, or 1973?
Oh, it did the 10-year thing again.
Oh, hard times. Critical. Yeah.
That does sound 73 to me.
Yeah, I think so too, Renato.
That sounds 73 to me.
What'd the cat say, Arthur?
Yeah.
So it seems,
What do you think, Arthur?
Arthur,
I'm speechless.
eyes on the webcam.
Did we lose
It
Arthur?
seems that your team is suggesting 1973. What's your verdict?
My verdict is because Fetita was coming here, and
Okay.
she whispered into my ear. I hope she whispered correctly, but we'll go with 1973.
I think you're lying about your cat whispering to you.
I heard the cat meow. I heard her.
But is that your final answer?
Yeah,
Concerning that he understood her, but
yeah, we can go with 1973.
Arthur's Knights.
Yeah.
You have won today's last day's quiz. It was indeed 1973.
Come on!
And cheers to
The
Fetita.
November
I'm happy
1st,
Susan won her first
1973 Watchtower on page 646.
Oops,
Let's find out what point tally Team O'Donnell would have finished on as we ask them their final question. In the light of the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, it is becoming clear that the war of Armageddon is nearing its breaking out point. Was that printed in 1936, 1955, or 1987?
I don't remember breaking out point being in use in like 1987, but so do you think Lloyd read from a 1936 booklet? You think that's what he's?
Yeah, he might have just. Yeah, I think he might have tried to go back as far as he could, and it still sounds like something they could have written last week.
Yeah.
We won't overthink it because I do have a limerick from last week I could read if we have time. But
Nice.
Yes, that would be
1930.
lovely.
something or other,
Yeah.
whatever that year was in the 30s. We'll go with that. Final answer. Mark won't even make you reread the quote.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
Team
I just
O'Donnell.
care so little.
He's so despondent. But
I'm
frankly,
bored.
Mr. O'Donnell, perhaps if you paid more attention to the out of context round, as Renato was suggesting,
Oh, we're wrong.
maybe this situation would be a bit different. Just saying, just putting that out there. In any case, your answer is wrong. It was actually 1955.
Man,
and
three.
it was
We should just go with our gut. He loves
The
the
middle.
50s.
Middle ground.
this publication, You May Survive Armageddon into God's
Mhm.
New World.
Well, I should have known that. That's the types and anti-types book.
Yeah.
And
Bloodbath.
yeah, that was. Ask us a real question next time.
I would like to phone a friend next time.
Renato, can you just give us a summary of what's just happened?
It was a bloodbath. That's it. What happened. 26-8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest
Slaughter.
margins of victory in the history of the last day's quiz.
It's a good thing we don't really care.
One for the history books, really. So
And I take full credit for that.
The cat's
I think you
upset.
should. I think you should, Susan.
I do. Yeah.
I think you
Beginner
clearly.
spot.
you were a calming influence, I think, on the team.
Yeah.
And if Arthur had listened to Susan, you would have had even more points.
Oh, now the smack talk.
That's true.
Now the
That's true.
smack
Yeah.
talk.
And if
Meow,
Arthur-
meow, 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 meow.
And I'm like, I'm like him from
Anyway.
Australia. I have submitted lyrics to Arthur like 5,000 times
Oh,
for
wow.
a particular song, and he won't even respond to me.
He does. Well, this is
So-
what he's like, unfortunately, Susan. We've had this problem before. He
Heads like
shuns
that.
people who submit lyrics. He's
I've
a
written
repeat
some
offender. A
wonderful-
repeat offender.
I,
Susan, sing.
I
sing
have
a
written
tune. We like to do a duet.
Grammy award-winning lyrics.
I can imagine.
Grammy award-winning lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we need to have a penalty against Team O'Donnell because they've lost. We do tend to stick the boot in and make the losers pay. So, Arthur's Knights, do you want to see Mark and Kimmy wearing a head covering, reading aloud Jeremiah 5, 7, and 8 from the previous New World Translation edition, or singing the postlude from Song 62 of Sing Praises to Jehovah?
So I remember obviously all the penalties from the previous episodes, and I remember that Team O'Donnell has already done the head cover because they lose this so much. That's all they do.
They've had
they've done the head covering, and Mark,
We sang last week.
We sang last week. Right?
So the only reasonable thing is for them to read from Jeremiah.
I think
Mark,
so.
Mark would love to do that.
Mhm.
Guys.
Yeah, I don't think we've done that.
Yes.
So what do you
from the
do?
previous,
Put that
from
on
the previous
screen?
edition. So yeah, if you want to jump through and get your 1984 New World Translation, it's Jeremiah 5, 7, and 8.
Do you have it, Mark?
Yeah.
Are
And-
you
and
really
Lloyd-
Are you really making me go get a Bible translation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I just pull it
Yes.
up online?
Yeah, you
can
can
do.
pull it up online. Yeah.
How long is that going to take?
Oh, that's going to take a while.
And be sure to do it in a lively fashion as prescribed by
must-
the governing body.
That's what Ralph Wall suggested.
Must be
Is that
Yeah.
still on JW.org?
Oh, my goodness.
I'll-
Go look
I'll
your book
put
up
you-
yourself.
I'll put you a link.
Send me a link, Arthur.
I put it in the private chat, right? I was going to say, you could have just grabbed the
Must
Bible.
be lively.
Shelf. Mark's got a great, reading voice, so he'll pretend
He's got a
he's
great
singing
reading
along.
voice.
You're going to have to grade him.
Mark's going to fall asleep in a minute.
He's got a great,
Especially
reading
for
voice.
Jeremiah. Mark
Every
nailed
voice
this
is
one.
great.
Mark, you see it? It's in the private chat?
Yeah, I see it. Let me copy this link and before I fall asleep. All right. Let's see here. All right, what am I reading here? Jeremiah 5, 7,
And 8.
7 and 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
7 and 8, Mark.
In a lively fashion.
How can I forgive you for this very thing? Your own sons left me, and they kept swearing by what is no God. And I kept satisfying them, but they continued committing adultery. And to the house of a prostitute woman they go in troops. Horses seized with sexual heat, having strong testicles, they become. They neigh each other to the wife of his companion. Would you like to hear more?
Oh, that was brilliant. That was fantastic.
I had my camera off. I don't know what that looked like. It was probably ridiculous.
Oh, no, it was.
It was.
That
it
wasn't
was
a penalty.
Absolutely, it was absolutely awesome.
We all
was-
won. We all
Brilliant.
won on that one.
It feels like you've given mankind a gift, to be honest.
Well,
I mean,
I would-
that's enriching people's culture.
Talk Saturday mornings.
If I were Simon Cowell, I would press the golden buzz
Oh, definitely.
to send you directly to World Headquarters.
We need to submit that as a clip to America's Got Talent, and that's going to be Mark's audition.
That was unbelievable.
We could
That was
put a
marvelous.
beard.
Amazing.
Mark could
Does
put
that
a beard and be in a drama.
That wasn't a penalty. That was
presumably, Renato, that performance endears you even more to Team O'Donnell for future contests?
I mean, how can you not fall in love with that? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
fun. Channeling my
Um,
inner Patrick Stewart.
As they say it, you fall in love with
Did you
the
guys
voice.
see? Did you guys
fall
see
in love
Patrick
with the
Stewart
person.
in? Did you ever watch Ricky Gervais Extras?
Yes,
It's
we've
brilliant.
seen that.
And he's got all these different, A-list actors on there, including Patrick Stewart. And if anyone hasn't seen Extras, watch the episode with Patrick Stewart. It is a blast. These guys all make fun of themselves.
I'm reliably informed that Kimmy has a limerick, and this means that we can have Sasha's Poetry Corner.
Hello and welcome to Limericks on Saturday. Pretend this was at the beginning of the show. It's Saturday. You know how it goes. Follow along as we put on a show. We'll rhyme, sing, and play. So why don't you stay? It's fun to keep Arthur in tow.
Oh, that's lovely. That was very nice. Not so sure we were keeping Arthur in tow, though, because he's running away with the last day's quiz as we speak. But I did actually have to tell him off at one point, so I suppose that was keeping him in tow.
Yeah.
But yes, that was splendid. Thank you. So we had a question at the beginning. I don't know how much. I know that you kind of keep tabs on these things, Mark, but there were one or two noticing that files are available on Avoid JW. Do you know anything about that?
So when they say files, they mean few. So as I understand it, files are slowly being restored on Avoid JW. So I would say that, whoever's working on that, thank you very much. And we're probably seeing them reappear in some magical place elsewhere as they are reconnected to
a magical place.
Yes,
so,
very
like
magical
a Narnia
place.
situation.
Yeah. So, the thing is, you can't suppress knowledge. Once it's out there on the internet, it's out there in one way or another, whether it's on Avoid JW or, by the way, there's a great site called Watchtower Wayback. And I don't think a lot of people know about it. But, there's just somebody who has a great little site running a server, and he's got all the just waybackwatchtower.com, something like that. You can Google it and you'll find it instantly, and it's got all sorts of things. I think the thing about Truth and Transparency was that they were flaunting some of the files they had in Watchtower's face, and they put up an article that said, we posted these despite Watchtower's takedown notice of the convention videos. And what we really care about, and I'm speaking for myself and, some of us on the team, maybe all, I don't know. But what we really care about is transparency. Whether or not convention files are out, I don't really care. What I care about is that the files that relate to child abuse, that relate to transparency of these body of elders letters that have gone out for the past 50, 60, 70 years. For people, whether or not you have faith in the scriptures, I think it's important to know that, the scriptures are transparent. You have a book, whether you believe in it or not, that's your business. But the point is that a religious institution having all of these policies and procedures is so pharisaical. It's just such, let me say this, from going back and looking at these files, going back to the turn of the century from the organization, it is so clear that the organization was built upon financial means of expanding the organization. For example, the coal porters were paid. Russell and his associates encouraged the coal porters or the pioneers to sell, and you'll get this commission and you'll get that commission. And a lot of people did this out of a good heart. They thought, well, we're doing the right thing, but it was built on money. And even though they said, well, we're giving away certain things and we're printing we're selling only at the printing cost, the reality is the printing cost of the magazines was pennies or fractions of a penny. But when I was growing up, they went up to 25 cents per copy each, when in fact we know now that they were only costing the organization, including all their expenses, a couple pennies a piece at the most. So they were pocketing that money and using it to buy real estate, using it to buy more printing equipment to expand their operations. And so I think it's important for people to know and understand that, because if an organization is going to get tax exempt status from the United States, from the British government, from the Australian government, if they're going to be considered to be a charity, then you've got to be transparent. You've got to do charitable works. And if you don't, you've got to be transparent about that. And you've got to be held accountable. So that's my take for the day. That's my rant on documents, transparency, and the organization. I think it should all be out there. And I think the average Jehovah's Witness has no idea just how complicated and convoluted their business, the business of running a religion is. It has nothing to do with what happened back in, whether or not you believe in Jesus or the scriptures. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with running an organization that people can attach themselves to.
Can I just add to that, Lloyd, if I can. Like I'm Brazilian. If I want to know what I can and cannot do as a Brazilian, there's the Constitution, there's the Penal Code. I know everything. I have the opportunity to know all the laws and everything I'm going to be tried under if I do something wrong. So, to Mark's point, witnesses should have that opportunity. They should know exactly what they can and cannot do. And if they do something that it's against the law, they should know what the law is. It's not hard. So that's all I care about too.
If we think about the files that Avoid JW has been making available in the past, and I don't know where we're up to now, but they've been making available, for example, the Shepherd Book. That's a current publication that directly impacts on people's lives and stipulates how people will be dealt with by the elders, but only elders get to read it. There's absolutely no precedent for that sort of thing in the Bible. In the Bible, everyone had access to what the rules were. They were in the Book of Moses. Everyone had access to the Book of Moses. Not so in the Jehovah's Witness organization. So, frankly, shame on, Arthur's got it there, shame on the organization for keeping this information away from the rank and file, and even litigating against groups or legally threatening groups that try to make this information available.
I'd like to bring Susan in on this one too, because she and I both sat through the trial of Roderick Watkins in Arkansas, and this is something that was very, very close and personal to Susan. This was her congregation. This was someone that she trusted. And one of the things that happened during that criminal trial, in which Watkins ended up getting 80 years in prison for molesting all of these Jehovah's Witness children, was that during the testimony of, I don't remember if it was Watkins' testimony himself. Susan, you can refresh me. I don't have my notes in front of me. But what came out during the trial was that the organization, the headquarters in New York, had dismissed or kicked Roderick Watkins out of Bethel. He was in Bethel for years. Kicked him out because he had a homosexual encounter with a young man who was, I believe, also a Bethelite. They didn't specify, but it was in New York. He was in Bethel. They went on a camping trip. The kid was around 19. And when that came out, that he was dismissed from Bethel for that reason. Now, we're not calling that child abuse. But remember,
isn't. Can I just be absolutely clear?
Yes.
There's just no correlation at all.
Correct.
There. Yeah.
Correct. However, in the minds of those seated in the audience, right? So if you're a parent and you have children, and then you hear in court that there was a man who was, as a predator, going after a 19-year-old, they're thinking, that's my child. My child could be 17, 15, 13, 12.
Yeah, he was using his influence.
Yes. And a sister in the congregation got up and ran out of the courtroom in hysterics. Yeah. And they had to run after her. And Susan, you remember that, you were there for that, and you maybe you can explain, your view of, without giving away names or any personal information. And then this goes to the transparency of why was it, what was hidden? Why was it so necessary to hide this man's past? And again, as Lloyd said, we are not in any way, shape, or form connecting being gay with child abuse. These are two completely different things. But as Kimmy said, this man was using his influence over
Can I just interject?
People.
How old was he when he had this relationship with a 19-year-old?
He would have been in his mid-20s, mid to late 20s.
I don't see, really, to be honest, I don't really see the relevance, to be completely honest with you.
The relevance was, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
I just don't see the relevance of it. If someone in their mid-20s has a homosexual relationship with a 19-year-old, what's the relevance of that to child sex abuse?
So the relevance is the cover up and the fact that these people felt like this man was influencing.
If there's a relationship, if there's a sexual relationship, why should everyone hear about it?
Well, this is in the context of the Jehovah's Witness religion. So
Mark,
maybe
Mark does not believe. Mark, it comes across like, do you believe this yourself? And can we clarify that that's not the case?
Yeah. So maybe Susan, we could get your input on that.
I think the big thing is that
and I'm getting a low battery warning, so I'm going to plug my phone in, and hopefully I won't lose you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Hang on. Okay, you got me? Am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so you're talking about in context to the impact that this news had on the members of the congregation in the courtroom that day?
Right.
It was absolutely, we were absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned. The emotional impact, especially on the parents of the children in this the emotional impact on the parents of these children when they heard that news from the first time broadcast from the witness stand was so overwhelming. It was almost, we almost couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
To learn that the elders knew of the potential for this to happen, and for it to have impacted so many over so many years, it absolutely ripped this congregation to shreds.
But with all due respect to all concerned here, I just don't see potential, quote unquote, for child sex abuse in a relationship between a 19-year-old boy and a boy in his 20s. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah.
Because this is one thing that the organization tries to do. Right. Anthony Morris tried doing this in his JW Broadcasting episode, drawing a line between homosexuality and child sex abuse. I
think what we see, Lloyd, by the reaction of the witnesses in that room, is I think what Mark was trying to say is that is sadly how they've kind of have taught and manipulated and influenced the people to believe that was wrong. I think the big issue is that in the context that he was, there was a cover up as to like the double standards, that he gets away with being able to kind of break rules that had that been disciplined, maybe he never would have ended up in the position of responsibility and authority that then could abuse that later on. to hurt people. But yeah, that's the sad part especially when you go back and you look at all that literature in the 70s and how they really disgustingly, relate, homosexuality to violence and to pedophilia and stuff. And they've never come back out and kind of corrected themselves on that either,
Agreed.
So, anyway, we know it's late, so.
Yeah. But anyway, suffice it to say, transparency in all things is important. And I appreciate whoever is putting the files out there. They're not going to go away. They're only going to propagate in other places. And we're going to see transparency. And I think we have more and more people. We get emails every week from someone that we didn't expect to come out of the organization who's finally had enough and said, I want out. And because of that, we're learning more and more about the inner workings of the organization. Someone just contacted me that was a writer for Watchtower. And I'm not giving any details because that person is in the process of waking up and leaving. But that is a significant occurrence when you have someone who was so deeply involved in writing a material for the organization and who has woken up and and who, by the way, is even in touch with Rolf Ferrulli now. You've got these people talking, but I think the more information we have out there, the more awareness, the more documents, and the more people are willing to look at them. Because, the thing is, the documents themselves are not apostate documents. They're Watchtower documents, right? They're documents from Watchtower, Pennsylvania, from Watchtower, New York. So even though they might appear on certain apostate websites and others, the documents themselves are very, very real. They're not faked documents. They're very real. And I think witnesses deserve to see them, especially those who have been suppressed from seeing them, such as non-elders, right? Meaning the rest of us, ministerial servants, pioneers, women.
Yeah, what I appreciate is that the letters that go out, when you're a current member, you don't know that there's the secondary direction that goes to the elders only. So when you look at this stuff online, that was one thing that impacted me in the beginning was, well, wait a minute. So they're telling the congregation one thing, but they have a secret direction for themselves. So transparency, it's always been, it's such an important thing. And also people sharing their stories.
Indeed.
More of us to talk about things. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, for joining today's Last Days live stream, for your performance on the quiz. And again, bravo for your recent disassociation. I'm really hoping that we can have you on the channel again soon to delve into your story in more detail. So thank you so much.
I'd like that. Thank you. You're welcome.
Wonderful. So thanks so much to my amazing... Sorry, go on.
No, I know I don't want us to run over. In relationship to closing out what was being discussed there, it's the transparency, the lack of transparency that was such a shock to the congregation. It wasn't exactly what happened or a judgment on that. It was just when you have an elder who is also your service overseer and things of that nature, it was just a shock. People just want to know the truth about it. That's all.
Indeed. And understood. Thank you so much to my wonderful panelists for today's show. It's been a real blast. And yeah.
Sorry for losing Renato.
Arthur's Arthur's Knights continue to reign supreme in the quiz. We look for the quiz, by the way, is every Saturday. So if you want to see what happens for the next quiz, tune in next Saturday. Wednesday, we won't be having the quiz, but we will be having, hopefully, who knows, Sherry's Comfort Corner and Sasha's Poetry Corner. So we shall see. But I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to stay safe, stay positive, and we will see you in the next show. Take care.
And thank you for watching.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys.